Oh boy, so I've been looking forward to and dreading this vlog because this is probably the Kellerman book I have the strongest feelings about. So let's do the little intro thing first. Welcome, blah, 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 Kellerman vlog, blah, blah, blah. I vlog about this series of books that I reread as a stress decompression tool. They're murder mysteries, main characters, Alex and Milo, blah, blah, blah. Might be spoilers ahead. So let's get into it. Flesh and Blood is... I really feel strongly about the main... I don't want to say the main character in the book, because the main characters are Alex and Milo. Lauren Teague is a primary character in the book, and I really have strong feelings about her, and I can't... I've never got to the bottom of why. Let's give you a synopsis first, just in case you haven't read the book. I hope you have. So Alex is a child psychologist, and one of his patients is a girl named Lauren Teague. Her parents bring her to therapy because she's misbehaving, and the therapist will straighten her out, and of course it doesn't work. She only sees him for a couple of sessions, then her parents pull her, and he feels like he could have done more. And then he runs into her again later at a bachelor party where she's hired to be one of the strippers, and he feels very guilty about that. And then, again years later, her mom calls him out the blue, like, Alex, can you use your police connections? My daughter's missing. And I don't think it's giving away too much of a spoiler that she turns out not to be missing, but murdered. And it's finding out who murdered, and there's a lot about her past and her family. And that's the book. So, let me get into my notes. So, I'm just going to, look at my notes here. I've spoken before multiple times about this book. I think what I've said before, in fact, I know, in my notes I said I think, but I recall this. I've said before that I've never wanted to hug a fictional character more than Lauren Teague. I've been trying to figure out why she resonates with me so much. Is it because I'm a father of a daughter? Is it because I'm a husband of a wife? Is there someone in my past that she reminds me of and I just can't place them? I don't know, but there's something about her that I really feel the need to hug her. I know she doesn't exist. She's a figment of the author's imagination. If she did exist, she was murdered. It's very sad, but in my mind, somewhere she's alive and she needs a hug. And I feel that very strongly every time that this book comes up in the synopsis. I can't say this is my favorite Kellerman book. I can't say I love reading it or look forward to doing it. I kind of dread it and look forward to it at the same time. I feel like an excitement and a dread. Like, maybe this time I'll read it and things will turn out better for her. But, I mean, obviously they weren't. It's written on pages. Okay, so here are my notes. I've started a timeline for this book specifically. So Alex was already with Robin by the time Lauren was a patient, but he wasn't seeing patients out of his home because then when she shows up later, she says, oh, this is different. She was 25 when she died. He treated her 10 years earlier, so that means that she was 15, and that was right after the Hale school shooting. So he would have been at home, because he was working out of his home by then, but he also wasn't really taking child therapy cases then, because that was after was that Handler? Yeah. After the Handler case, which is, with Hickel and all that, which is when he stopped taking child therapy cases. So I don't, because he's semi-retired then. So the timeline doesn't make sense. Because then he also didn't start dating Robin until, okay. So, it was 10 years, it was right after the Hale school shooting that he encountered her at the bachelor party. So it was 4 years before that. The timeline's murky. I gotta figure it out. Okay. So Milo and Alex talk about why Alex is so invested in Lauren, and Milo refers to her as Alex's version of a cold case. And I think I get why he feels so strongly. Alex is someone that likes to fix everything and everyone, and even though he theoretically did everything he could have with Lauren, he couldn't fix her, and that haunted him. And he always felt like he could have or should have done more. Lawrence? I'm misgendering her now. Lauren is many times in the book referenced as a blonde, but for some reason, when I picture her as a brunette. I don't know why. Maybe there's somebody from my past that she reminds me of, and that person is a brunette. I don't know, but I know I often picture characters in the book as differently than they're described, so it's not always that. Okay. In this book, Gretchen has an older brother and a younger sister. In a later book, we meet her sister Bunny, And is that a continuity error, or is Bunny one of the siblings that's mentioned in this book? I'll have to check that out when I get to that book. That book is, I believe, Mystery is the name of it. I know it's the one with Miss Tara. So, speaking of which, is Gretchen based on Heidi Fleiss, or is she based on someone else? I don't know much about famous madams, and I tried to Google search famous madams, and that search did not go well for me. And then the same question, Tony Duke, is he based on Hugh Hefner? He's described as a California farm boy who became a bookkeeper, who became a science fiction writer, who became a magazine mogul. And Hugh Hefner grew up as a Midwestern farm boy who became a copywriter. So it's close, but Hugh Hefner is a little bit less wholesome than Tony Duke turns out to be. And Larry Flint is the only other men's magazine mogul that I know of, and his backstory is way more vulgar. He's not wholesome at all. I guess I was trying to combine vulgar and wholesome into vulgar. So what happens to Mel Abbott in the end? I'm really, really sad for him. He doesn't deserve for things to turn out as badly as they did. Why would someone from New York, and it doesn't matter if they're a mobster, hitman, or if they're a surgeon, why would someone from New York want to get pizza in California? California has terrible pizza, and if you go to like a Brooklyn pizza place in California, it's still not going to be anything near as good as Brooklyn pizza in Brooklyn. Like, the last thing I would want when I went to California is Brooklyn pizza if I could get it at home in Brooklyn. It makes no sense. I'm very passionate about pizza, and I do but don't apologize for that. People from New York and New Jersey are much more passionate about pizza than I am, and they would never eat pizza in California. So that's not... Anyhow. So there's a part in the book where Alex says to himself how lonely she must have been. And that's when he's talking about Lauren. And I think that's where it just hits me right here. You know? I think that's part of what I relate to her, is I know people like her. They interact with people and they have lives. But they're very, very lonely at core. They're missing... Oftentimes it's love and affection. Sometimes it's companionship. Sometimes it's just someone that you can trust, you know. And so they spend most of their time alone, and they don't really kind of believe that anybody can be trusted. Okay. Up until the meeting with Sylvana, I would have expected Robin to be a lot more understanding. She was complaining about Alex being distant, but a patient that he cared about died tragically. And the whole chain of events in the book started because he was trying to help his patient. It wasn't because he was working for the police or doing something unsafe or adventure-seeking or whatever she accuses him of. I would be distant if there's someone that I cared about died too. And I feel like she should have been a lot more understanding. Of course, when things transpire with Sylvana, then she has good reason to be less understanding. How many kids does Tony Duke have? We find out that he has, let's see, in the book he has he has 3 that are adult and 2 that are not adult that we know of. So he has at least 5 kids, but it's six. He has 1 deceased, 2 adults, 3rd adult, 2 kids, 6 total that are referenced in the book. But it's certainly implied that there could be more, and I would be very curious to know. Okay, I have mixed feelings about Gene being arrested, especially if his account of the story is true and it was an accident. I don't know that he should lose his career over that. He obviously made some very big mistakes, and somebody died in the process, but I don't know that that was an arrest-worthy, career-ending mistake. Last note is Shauna's mom reminds me of Becky's mom from Bad Love. And again, I feel like Kellerman writes certain archetypes, and that doesn't bother me. Okay, next up is the murder book. And I have said in the past that, and in the future, I guess, that the murder book is possibly the very best Alex Delaware book. Best does not equate to my favorite. Some things I like things that are not the best, and, you know, sometimes, yeah. You guys know what I mean. Just because something is the best doesn't make it your favorite. Just because something is your favorite doesn't mean it's the best. But I think there's a case to be made that the murder book is the best Alex Delaware book. Okay, we got through it. I talked about Lauren. I hope that whatever real life versions of her exist find the love and peace that they need. I would love it if Kellerman wrote an alternate book, in which case she had a happy ending. I don't know how that would work, and I don't know that that's even a thing that an author would want to do. It would be very much fan service for a very specific type of fan that would perhaps only be me. I might be the only one that feels this way. I don't know. I'm guessing not, because generally speaking, if I feel a certain way reading a book, there's going to be several other people that feel the same way. These don't exist in a vacuum. But we've covered it. I got through it. That was, like I said, that's the most emotionally invested Kellerman book for me. Okay, so let's talk about the murder book in the next vlog, which hopefully will be in a few days. Thanks for watching.